So can Apple AirPods Pro replace this medical grade professional hearing aids? So I was born with a moderate hearing loss, and I wasn't diagnosed with it until the elementary hearing screening test that they did. And ever since then, I have been wearing hearing aids. When Apple introduced that it was going to release a software feature to the AirPods Pro, turning them into hearing aids, it definitely piqued my interest. So now I'm curious to know, can this $250 device replace the hearing aids that cost $8,000? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. So first, we're just gonna compare the different features that these devices offer. We're gonna start with the AirPods. It adjusts transparency mode to amplify sounds. And you can also adjust different settings as well. So you can adjust the amplification, you can reduce background noise, for example, with using the slider. So the AirPods uses transparency mode to let external sounds through. And I will say, side note here, that the AirPods Pro need to be in transparency mode for the hearing aid feature to work. If you want to use noise cancellation or the adaptive mode, then you have to have the conversation awareness feature on, and then the hearing aids will turn on when it picks up speech. However, when there's no speech detected, the hearing aid feature is going to be turned off. Battery life, so for each charge, you're gonna get about 6 hours. So the AirPods are ideal for people with mild hearing loss and needs that little boost, or they're for people who just need the occasional hearing aid features. So hearing aids, customization. So there is extensive customization by an audiologist. And if you look at the app, my audiologist created different custom settings for me for different environments. And then also I can adjust the amplification and reduce background noise if I want to. So these hearing aids are AI powered directional microphones, and the noise reduction isolates speech from background noise. In addition, it automatically adjusts in different environments. Battery life, this thing is insane. If I wear them for 12 hours for my nursing shift and I get home, I still have like 90% left. It's crazy. For the comfort, they are custom fit to fit my ears, making them suitable for long-term use. So hearing aids are ideal for people with moderate to severe hearing loss, and particularly for those needing customizable real-time adjustments. So let's compare the tests that I got from the AirPods versus the one I got at my audiologist's office. So as you can see, they're both very similar, and they both show that I have moderate hearing loss. However, the audiologist performed an additional test where they said random words to me at different volumes, and I had to repeat those words back to them. And in this test, I did miss some words, but this test also plays into how the audiologist will customize my hearing aids to better fit my hearing needs, especially with speech recognition. Now that the results are kind of similar, I felt it would be fair to compare the sound quality of these two devices. So for the AirPods Pro, I mean, I'm impressed and just wow. It's definitely using transparency mode. I will say though, the sound is very artificial and unnatural. It's like I gave you a microphone to speak into, and then the sound is coming out of the AirPods. Also, like speech and noise in general just kind of have like an echo sound to it, and then it also has like a little bit of auto-tune tone to it as well. Also, the AirPods can pick up the higher frequencies and deliver it. However, the sound quality just lacks the brightness of higher frequency sounds, and it just sounds dull. So for instance, Mariah Carey's like whistle notes, I can hear them, but they just sound very flat to me and like auto-tuned and echoey. Now the hearing aids, they can deliver unparalleled sound quality. They just sound natural, almost unnoticeable, very crisp, very clear. So everyday sounds like rustling of the leaves on the ground or like the humming of the refrigerator, it just feels very direct and like I'm just hearing it with my own ears. High frequencies are very crisp, they're clear, they have that bright tone to them, and they just sound very vibrant. The sound is so close to normal hearing that my hearing aids seem better customized to my hearing needs than the AirPods, despite their identical hearing test results. Also, I just want to say that I am a nurse and I work in the hospital. So in the hospital, there's a lot of sound, alarms, conversations happening, and we still do wear masks as well. So like, you know, speech is muffled already just from having the mask over your mouth. And I decided to test out the AirPods Pro just to see how it would do, and It did a great job, but it didn't do very good in terms of like minimizing background noise so I can hear speech. And it didn't do a very good job at like picking up alarms. The alarm just sounded very dull, and the further the alarm was, it was just harder for me to hear. And if you're a nurse, you know that we need to hear the alarms. And because of that, with the AirPods Pro, I feel like I could easily miss the alarms if I was distracted or focused on something else. However, with my hearing aids, I don't have to put in as much effort to hear things because they do an excellent job of picking up the things that I need to hear, such as speech in a noisy environment or alarms, especially if they're coming like all the way down the hall. So Apple also mentioned Media Assist, and this is basically the audio adjustment based on your hearing test results can be applied to the sound of music, videos, and calls. So luckily my hearing aids can do that too via Bluetooth connected to my phone. So here's my 2 cents. Anything that is related to speech, my hearing aids win, hand down, especially when listening to music. The best way to put it is that with my hearing aids, I can hear every letter in the word, while with my AirPods Pro, I can hear the words, but sometimes I have to piece together the sound and select the word that is closest to it. This also goes for phone calls as well. However, if you are an audiophile, then the AirPods produce a much better sound quality. So basically anything outside of the singer's voice, such as like the bass and instruments, the AirPods is going to produce a higher quality sound. The hearing aids didn't have much bass. It had a little bit of like boom boom, but like that was it, nothing crazy. AirPods Pro wins hands down with music quality. Now, last thing I want to talk about is the usability. So the AirPods are much better suited for workouts where sweat could be involved, because the AirPods are sweat resistant and the hearing aids are not. And then while I rarely talk to people anyways during my workouts, I do occasionally talk sometimes, and having the hearing aid feature would be very helpful. Additionally, I don't wear my hearing aids when I'm going to be in an environment with very loud music because these do not have hearing protection. However, the AirPods have hearing protection. Going out to loud concerts or music festivals, maybe the clubs, the AirPods win hands down. And then also, I don't wear my hearing aids whenever there is a risk of me losing them or damaging them, because I mean, they cost $8,000. It's gonna cost me a kidney to replace them. So in summary, about 90% of my life, I use my hearing aids, while the remaining 10%, I'll use my AirPods. Not so much because the sound sounds better, but more for like the usability and functionality. So unfortunately, as you probably know, AirPods Pro are not a replacement for the hearing aids. They are convenient and budget friendly for mild hearing loss, but hearing aids offer a more comprehensive and personalized support. However, there are other hearing aids available, so consider them too. Throughout the video, I probably sounded like I was mad hating on the AirPods, but I'm impressed that Apple is making hearing support more accessible to the public and is just raising awareness in general for hearing health. Last note here, AirPods are better than deafness, and at $250, I mean, they're still, and not only that, you're getting hearing protection and you're getting headphones as well, high quality headphones. However, for anyone with specific hearing needs or who have more moderate to severe, hearing aids is still a superior experience. So I hope this video helps. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you think in the comments, or if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.